Let's talk about Hunter Biden. Joe Biden's son is at the center of a political storm and is shaping up to be a major political liability for Biden going into the 2024 election. Ever since Joe Biden announced he was running for president in 2019, Republicans have scrutinized his son Hunter Biden's bouts with drug addiction and his business dealings in Ukraine and China with an eye toward weakening his dad politically. Fast forward to now. Republicans have taken the majority in the House and control investigative committees, and the spotlight of Hunter Biden has gotten brighter. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Who is Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden is President Joe Biden's second son. His mom was Nelia Biden, Joe Biden's first wife. Nelia died in a car crash in 1972 with her and Joe Biden's one-year-old daughter, Naomi. Hunter's older brother, Beau, was a former Attorney General of Delaware and Army JAG officer who died from brain cancer in 2015. Okay, let's go to Hunter. Hunter himself graduated from Yale Law School and has worked as a lawyer, a lobbyist, and an investor. Hunter Biden served on the board of the Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma Holdings from 2014 to 2019 and has worked on investments with Chinese companies. He's currently selling paintings through a New York art gallery. Okay, let's look at who's investigating Hunter Biden and why. First, you have the Republicans in the House. House Speaker McCarthy launched a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden on September 12th, and Hunter Biden is at the center of it.
These are allegations of abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption, and they warrant further investigation by the House of Representatives. That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
But it's important to emphasize that House Republicans have so far only found evidence of Hunter trading on his family name and not of wrongdoing by Joe Biden or that Biden was involved in Hunter's business deals. Okay, that's Congress. Then there's the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden's the subject of a Justice Department investigation into his tax filings and a statement he made on a form to purchase a handgun. Department of Justice Special Counsel David Weiss has charged Hunter Biden with illegally obtaining a firearm while addicted to drugs, and 2 counts related to false statements on the purchase form.
I don't have no idea what took the Department of Justice so long. It's clear he violated the law. So I think now there's going to have to be a real deep dive at Main Justice about why there has been obstruction to this degree that's protected the son of the President of the United States.
It will be the first of many indictments, I imagine.
For Hunter?
Yeah.
I think our Republican colleagues would probably be demanding that the charges be dropped if it were for almost any other American. They don't believe in gun charges.
Those charges stem from Hunter Biden's purchase of a Colt Cobra 38 SPL revolver in October 2018. Why is that date important? Because Hunter Biden was regularly using crack cocaine during that period, according to his own memoir. And when someone is purchasing a firearm, they're asked if they are addicted to any drugs. Hunter answered no. Lying on a firearms transaction form is a felony, and a conviction could carry a prison sentence of up to 10 years. But legal experts say prosecutors rarely bring charges on the infraction. Now let's get back to Congress and the impeachment. There's little public information, if any, showing that Joe Biden was involved in Hunter's business transactions. James Comer, the Kentucky Republican who chairs the House Oversight Committee, has repeatedly overstated what Republicans have found and only had the evidence come up short.
The Committee on Oversight and Accountability has accelerated its investigation of the Biden family's domestic and international business practices that we began last Congress.
There's 2 aspects of Hunter's overseas work that Republicans are focused on that are worth digging into. All right, there's the big guy email and Hunter's work in Ukraine. Now let's start with the big guy email. Hunter says that his committee's investigation is looking into a 2017 email allegedly found on a laptop that belonged to Hunter Biden. The email includes discussion of setting aside a certain percentage of a deal for the big guy. One line of that email asks the question, 10 held for H by the big guy. Now, Hunter Biden's former business partner, Tony Bobulinski, who was one of Donald Trump's guests for a presidential debate in 2020, told Fox News he believed H stood for Hunter and the big guy was Joe Biden. Beyond that, Fox News has also reported there was no evidence that any part of the business deals with the Chinese entities went to Joe Biden. It's still worth pointing out that when the email was sent, Joe Biden wasn't in office. It was 2017. He was no longer vice president and was nearly 2 years away from announcing his candidacy for president. Now Comer claims the email text shows Joe Biden was aware of Hunter's business dealings with the Chinese company. Comer also claims those business ties influenced President Biden's policy choices toward China, but it's unclear how. Biden has kept the Trump-era tariffs on China in place, and added new export controls on U.S. chip-making technology since taking office. Now let's look at Hunter Biden and Ukraine. Republicans in the House have gone back to a long-running and debunked conspiracy theory that Joe Biden, when he was vice president, demanded the Ukraine government fire the country's top prosecutor to halt an investigation into a Ukrainian company that had Hunter Biden on its board.
Biden used his official office to coordinate with Hunter Biden's business partners about Hunter's role in Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company.
Now, this is the conspiracy theory that Donald Trump was chasing when he withheld military aid and pressured Zelensky, Ukraine's president, to open an investigation into the Bidens during the famous 2019 presidential phone call. But Joe Biden wasn't alone in encouraging the Ukraine parliament to oust prosecutor Viktor Shokin. Concerns that Shokin wasn't doing enough to root out corruption were expressed by European diplomats, international organizations like the International Monetary Fund as well. And Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's business partner who served on the Burisma board with him, told House Republicans that Burisma didn't even support Shokin's removal. And it made it even harder to understand why Biden's position would have been about helping that company. Hunter Biden's business in Ukraine while his father was vice president did make American diplomatic efforts in Ukraine more difficult. A 2020 Senate investigation led by Republicans found that Hunter Biden, his business partners, and their firms made millions of dollars doing business in Ukraine while Joe Biden was vice president, and those financial connections negatively impacted diplomatic work in the country. But that same investigation uncovered no evidence of wrongdoing by Joe Biden in the matter. So what does Hunter Biden's drug use have to do with all this? During the years when Hunter Biden was working on deals with Chinese companies and serving on the board of the Ukraine energy company Burisma, he was also in a cycle of drug addiction, rehab, and relapse that spanned 15 years. In his 2021 memoir, Beautiful Things, Hunter describes in detail his crack cocaine binges, which he called the crackopolis, his confrontations with his family about returning to rehab, and his eventual sobriety and escape from those troubles when he married his current wife, Melissa, in May of 2019. Anecdotes of Hunter Biden's drug use and photos, purportedly from his laptop, have been highlighted by Biden critics to suggest that Joe Biden is compromised by Hunter's actions. But Joe Biden has spoken openly about his son's struggles with drug addiction.
He got hooked on, like many families have had happen, hooked on drugs. He's overcome that. He's established a new life. He is, I'm confident that he is, what he says and does are consistent with what happens.
Now, has any of this implicated Joe Biden in wrongdoing? It hasn't. What's known about Hunter Biden's business deals with Ukrainian and Chinese companies creates an impression he was making a lot of money off the prestige of being Joe Biden's son. But there isn't evidence that Hunter Biden's business transactions have influenced decisions that Joe Biden made as vice president or as president. There's also no clear evidence that money from Hunter Biden's business dealings ever made their way to Joe Biden's accounts. This is for sure. The House impeachment inquiry and the ongoing criminal case against Hunter Biden both mean there will be a lot more scrutiny.